And yesterday, I think in the Supreme Court having to do with immunity, I heard the argument was brilliant. I listened to it last night. I thought it was really great. I thought the judge's questions were great. And all presidents have to have immunity. It has nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. All presidents have to have immunity. If you don't have a president, certainly not a president that the founders wanted. Whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. Look, he's guilty. It's not a question. You know, I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries.
No. But even if those unfounded allegations against Barack Obama had any merit, and they don't, President Trump seems to have forgotten about that Supreme Court ruling on immunity, something he repeatedly called for before that decision. There's so much really to talk about here. Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It's Thursday, July 24th. With us, we have co-host of our fourth hour, contributing writer at The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire, co-founder and CEO of Axios, Jim VandeHei, New York Times opinion columnist David French, and host of Way Too Early, Ali Vitale. You know, this is Jonathan Lemire. Of course, we have to talk about the Red Sox remarkable comeback in the game of the year last night. But let's talk about more mundane issues first. We've been saying it every day here. We've been saying it for months now. Marco Rubio, when he was at head of the Intelligence Committee in the United States Senate, run by Republicans, had every Republican sign on to very explicit language, saying that Donald Trump's own campaign caused what was the exact language? A grave counterintelligence threat. And they went on and on talking about how Russia was trying to influence the outcome of the election. I mean, what's crazy about this is, and of course, many people would say, some say it's because what's on the front page of the Wall Street Journal this morning. DOJ told Trump his name is among those in Epstein files. Some would say Tulsi Gabbard. And what was that yesterday? Seriously? Talk about playing down to the lowest of low expectations. Tulsi, congratulations. You just did it. And I think expectations may have been here. And I think you may have gotten, you can't even see it on the TV screen, but if you can see my right hand to be down here, Tulsi Gabbard, you are the winner of actually meeting the lowest of low expectations that were laid out for you. But all of this stuff is just leading to chaos, and maybe the president thinks, hey, let's throw as much against the wall as we can throw against the wall. But as Karl Rove writes, let's see, it's in Wall Street Journal opinion, there is a political price to conspiracy theories. We'll get into Karl's op-ed in a little bit. But they're actually seeing that price, and they're making these wild, outrageous claims. And I don't think it helps the president. I know it sure doesn't help the country in the long run. And as the Wall Street Journal is also saying, and others have said, you know, you actually got a decision from the Supreme Court that grants presidents immunity. So even if your wild, crazy conspiracy theories were right, they would be irrelevant.
Yeah, I heard you hit the bell there, talking about DNI.
We don't do that much. Hold on, she's on the. There we go again. I just hit it again.
That underscores where we are.
That underscores where we are. You know, sometimes when you have baseball parks in the summer, somebody hitting a grand slam, like happened last night, for instance, with the Red Sox. But we'll talk about that later. Maybe fireworks would go up over a stadium, right? But here on Morning Joe, we ring the bell when Tulsi Gabbard meets her low expectations. So we're going to be ringing it a lot this morning. But go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, so she made her debut in the White House briefing room yesterday. And what, at the very least, we shall say that the timing here is a bit suspicious. That suddenly we're talking about 2016 again. Suddenly we're talking about Russia interference again and these unfounded claims at the same time when the president has been well chronicled here over the last couple of weeks, has been eager to talk about anything other than the Jeffrey Epstein matter. So we'll get into it more later, but there is reporting first from the Wall Street Journal, then later matched by other news outlets. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, did tell President Trump that his name appears in the Epstein files. Not quite clear in what context, not suggesting there's necessarily something criminal there, but his name does appear. And of course, we now know that there's been a real rush to release those files by some. Republicans delaying. The House even went home to avoid trying to deal with that matter. But yesterday, we had the White House really fan out on a lot of different fronts. White House reporters having their inboxes blown up by staffers. We saw a real concerted effort by this West Wing to push this story yesterday. And look, obviously, as we say all the time, if there's new evidence, of course, we're going to review it. But a lot of this here, there doesn't appear to be a there. Tulsi Gabbard going to the briefing room yesterday, talking about declassified emails were released on Friday, some of the House report, stands difference to what we heard from the Senate and now Secretary of State Rubio and his former role on the Intel Committee there, suggesting that that the 2016 Russia interference case was actually an Obama-led hoax, that he and the White House and some senior administration officials sort of perpetuated this and pushed this, and that they feel like this is now a great crime that worthy of more investigation. In fact, Gabbard, even Joe, suggesting that criminal referral for President Obama could be referred to DOJ. So there was a lot in that briefing room yesterday, as we'll sift through.
Yeah, it's just a joke. I mean, this is just a joke. I mean,